Hi guys. This video I'm making to share my experience regarding the recent interview that happened. I applied for the post of TGT English and I am from the general category. My interview was for TGT English in IIT Powai and it was on 24th of May 2023, and I reached the interview venue, and I was in the morning shift, board number 9 and serial number 10. Yes, and they did the biometric first, and then they called my name since I was like almost at the bottom of the serial number because only 12 students were going to go in the first shift, in the morning shift, and I was on 10th number. So my interview basically, if you can say, started on 2:30. So even though I was in the morning shift, my interview took place in the afternoon, considering the fact that I was almost at the end of the line. So my biometric happened, and then my document verification was very smooth process. I had all the required documents, and it went very nicely. After that, I was taken to the second floor of the building, the KVIIT Powai, and there I had to wait for almost half an hour for my interview because another candidate was already inside, and he also had a half an hour interview, as long as I think. Because I had to wait for that much of time. Then it was my turn. I was a little nervous, but then because of the person who was taking the file inside, he was so kind. He offered me chilled water because it was very hot in Mumbai. So he was so kind. He offered me water, and I was just trying to calm myself down. And then I was called inside. So I went inside. I opened the gate. I greeted them. It was afternoon, and then they told me to give my introduction. So, in my introduction, I prepared a poem, and it was everything woven, every information regarding myself was woven into a form of a poetry. So, it was one of the things that I thought that will make me look good as a language teacher because it is one of the very prominent literary forms. So I thought, why not? So I did that, and they were not as expressive, but they liked it. I could say that everybody will like when a candidate puts effort. So they were, yeah, so they liked it. And then after that, I'm not able to remember the correct sequence of the questions, but I think the female panelist, there was only one female panelist, and she asked me, Preeti, how can you improve the writing skills, the answer writing skills of a 10th class student? So that was the question. And then I answered it because these are some questions that a language teacher should know, and since I have been working as a teacher for past 1 year, so I was very comfortable answering that question. Then they asked me who's my favorite writer or poet. I'm not able to remember. So I said it's actually Shakespeare and John Keats. So she went ahead and said, "Do you like Wordsworth?" So I said, "Yes, ma'am. He has done some commendable work. So obviously he's one of my favorites." So she said, "Can you tell me some name of some poems that he has written?" So I gave her two, three names: The Solitary Reaper, Tables Turned, Tintern Abbey. She told me to recite one stanza from any of his poems, which I was able to do because I really like the last stanza of "I wandered lonely as a cloud." So the last stanza I was able to remember, so I recited 5 lines. And then I think the approach shifted to the another language teacher. He had prepared some questions, 5 6 questions, and he started off by saying, I think he asked me first the features of metaphysical age. So while I was saying that metaphysical age was basically at the end of the Renaissance, so he stopped me and he said, "Sorry to interrupt, I just want you to tell me the features." So I said, "Okay, sir." And then I listed out the features, that it was wits and conceits and a lot of pompous show of knowledge. And I gave him probably some examples as well. So he said that what is conceit? So I explained it to him that it is a far-fetched comparison between two very unlikely things, like used by John Donne in his poem The Flea. So one of the thing is I was not able to understand whether they are satisfied with my answers or not, because it was just like a question and answer. There was no there was no, what you say, there was no interruption from their side. And I was just answering and they were taking it. I was not able to understand whether they are satisfied or not. Even when they are satisfied, they were accepting it. Even when they are not satisfied, they were accepting it. They were not telling me on that on my face. So after that, he asked me what is lyric. So I gave him an example of lyric, the definition of lyric, and then he asked me types of prepositions. Basically, there are four types, and then he asked me five types of coordinating conjunctions, and then he asked me the forms of the five steps of Herbacean lesson plan, and then he asked me about objective correlative, who found it, in which work. So I was able to tell all of that. Some of the questions which I was not very prepared, like I had a little grammar phobia before my interview also, because I was focusing so much on the literature that the grammar was little lagging behind. So in those questions, I was able to answer like halfway. But I think that the attitude matters. So, but let's see. Let's wait for the final result. And then, yeah, ma'am asked me in the last 1 month how many novels you have read. So I replied by saying, unfortunately, I've only read one novel, and then I gave the name of the novel. So she asked me who's the writer and why do you like it so much. So I explained that as well. The novel I read was The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. So I believe they were also very familiar with it. So one or two questions regarding that. My demo topic was changed. So they gave me class 6 poem, Where Do All the Teachers Go, which I was very happy about because it's a very fun poem. And who does not want to, have a fun environment in the class? So I started off with that topic. I went to the board. The date and stuff was already written. So I just went ahead with my topic, and I started teaching it. They only gave me 4 lines to teach. So while I completed that, I think in 3 or 4 minutes they stopped me. So that was that. And then they asked me what other things that the students can learn from this poem other than the subject that you're teaching. So I went ahead and answered that as well very confidently. I'm not so sure whether they were not satisfied or satisfied, because their faces were like water, very blank. So that I can only know when I see the final result list. Then they asked me, how can you contribute in Kendriya Vidyalaya other than being a language teacher? So I thought it is a great outlet to actually brag about my achievements. So I told them about my sports achievement. I told them about my dancing skills, my perfect oration, that I'm an eloquent speaker. So I told all of those things. And then they asked me, where do you see yourself in 5 years? So I said that I see myself working in Kendriya Vidyalaya as a permanent faculty of English language. And then they asked me, 3 questions were from my bio, that why did you change from science to humanities in your graduation? So I said that my inclination was always towards English, and in science also you have English, and in when I changed to BA, I had English. So there is no as such change. The inclination was towards English from the beginning, and obviously then I made a decision to go completely with English, because I had a great love for literature. So that was there. Then they asked me, how can you, since I had written that in my bio, that I have all the skills, qualities, and qualifications to become a good teacher as required by the KVS. So they asked me, what do you think are the skills and qualities of a good teacher? So I was able to answer it, four or five qualities I said. And then they asked me, last question from my bio was that, how do you think you can maintain a good teacher pupil relationship? Because I had written that. So that also I was able to answer, that I will guide them, mentor them. I think all in all, my interview, because they were so mild, I was not able to understand their perception. But as a candidate, you also have an image for yourself while you're answering. And I thought that it was a pretty decent interview. To be very honest, this kind of questions that were asked from me, I was very happy about that, because there were certain questions that you expect, there were certain questions that you don't expect, and then there were some questions that regarding your personality. So you can say it is a combination of all kinds of questions that is needed to be asked by an interviewer to an interviewee. So I was very happy with the kind of questions I was asked. And I was also very happy with my performance. I think I would have done better if I would have studied a little more, but then there is always a scope of improvement anywhere. So let's see, let's wait for the final results, and let's hope that this would be the final nail on the coffin, that I get this interview. I believe everybody who has worked hard for this job should get the interview, should get the job, and I think everybody who has worked hard should, have the fruit of their hard work. So that is that. If you have any questions regarding it, you can put it down in the comment section, and I will try to answer it whenever I get it, whenever I get time. And yes, that was my interview experience. It was almost 25 to 30 minutes, and I really enjoyed getting interviewed. And I never feel like getting out of the room, because it is a very I always feel very nervous when I'm outside, but when once I get inside, I feel very comfortable. And that was it was a very good experience. Now let's just hope for the best and prepare for the worst. Okay, bye bye. Thank you for watching my video.